From the depths of hyperspace, 1,000 ships emerged like a plague of metal locusts, their hulls gleaming with the promise of conquest. The Zephyrian armada stretched across the star system, their vessels ranging from nimble corvettes to massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets. Admiral Kextar watched from his flagship's bridge as formation after formation materialized, blotting out distant stars with their sheer numbers. His mandibles clicked in satisfaction. This contested system would fall within the hour. Then the communications officer's voice cracked with disbelief. Admiral, long-range sensors detect an approaching human vessel. Just ... Just one ship. Laughter erupted across the bridge, echoing through fleet communications as the news spread like wildfire through 1,000 alien minds. The mockery was instantaneous and merciless. General Vorthok of the Hegemony's Third Fleet practically wheezed with amusement, his 6 eyes watering as he broadcast to his commanders. One craft, against the combined might of 3 galactic powers. The younger officers joined in, sharing crude jokes about primitive humans and their laughable military doctrine. They began elaborate formation maneuvers, treating the approaching engagement like a training exercise rather than a battle. The alien fleets spread into perfect attacking positions, their weapons systems charging with lazy confidence. Why hurry when facing such pathetic opposition? But then hyperspace tore open like a wound in reality, and silence fell like a hammer blow across the alien communications network. The human vessel that emerged was scarred and battered, its hull bearing the marks of a dozen conflicts. Yet it moved with predatory grace. Its engines didn't hum, they roared like caged thunder, sending vibrations through the vacuum that alien sensors could detect from thousands of kilometers away. The ship was smaller than their cruisers, but carried itself with an authority that made hardened warriors pause mid. Older commanders felt ice crystallize in their alien blood, memories stirring of whispered legends from academy days. Admiral Kextar, second in command, a grizzled veteran of the Centauri Wars, leaned close and hissed, "Sir, perhaps we should reconsider. There are stories about solitary Terran vessels, ... But the young officers scoffed, their confidence unshaken. After all, what could possibly justify such ancient superstitions? It was just one ship against their overwhelming numbers. The first salvo erupted from the alien vanguard like an artificial aurora, plasma bolts and particle beams converging in a deadly web designed to vaporize anything in its path. Standard doctrine demanded the human vessel evade, retreat, or at minimum attempt defensive maneuvers. Instead, it accelerated directly into the storm of energy, its shields flaring brilliant white as they absorbed punishment that should have reduced any craft to atomic particles. Alien gunners frantically adjusted their targeting solutions, confused by behavior that defied every tactical manual they'd studied. At the precise moment when destruction seemed inevitable, the human ship performed an impossible maneuver. Corkscrew spiral through a gap in the energy barrage that shouldn't have existed, shouldn't have been calculated, shouldn't have been survivable. As it emerged from the inferno, its railgun batteries spoke with surgical precision, launching tungsten slugs at relativistic velocities. 3 alien frigates simply ceased to exist, their molecules scattered across light years of space before their crews could scream. The stunned silence that followed was deafening. On bridges across the alien armada, seasoned warriors stared at their tactical displays in disbelief. "How did they predict our firing patterns?" whispered a hegemony weapons officer, his voice barely audible. The answer dawned with terrible clarity. Humans didn't just fight wars, they studied them with obsessive intensity, analyzing every enemy tactic, memorizing every formation, preparing for battles that might never come. While other species relied on tradition and established doctrine, humans thrived in the chaos of the unknown. Inside the lone human vessel, Commander Elena Rodriguez stood calm at the center of organized chaos. Her skeleton crew moved with practiced efficiency, their voices crisp with deadly focus. Enemy Formation Delta 7, called her tactical officer, executing Counter-Strike Omega. Around them, holographic displays showed the alien fleet's every movement, each maneuver catalogued and countered by protocols developed through centuries of constant warfare. Where other species saw overwhelming odds, humans saw patterns to be exploited. The alien response was swift but predictable. Thousands of ships spread to encircle the lone human craft like antibodies, surrounding an infection. Admiral Kextar's voice boomed across fleet channels. "End this insult immediately. Show these primitives what happens when they challenge their betters." His massive flagship led the charge, support vessels flanking it in textbook formation. Victory seemed mathematically certain, but the human commander had other plans. Her ship dove toward a nearby asteroid belt, engines straining against gravitational wells. To alien observers, it appeared to be retreat, classic human cowardice, finally revealing itself. They gave chase eagerly, their formations tightening as they prepared to corner their prey among the rocks. What they failed to notice were the subtle anomalies in the asteroid field, the faint energy signatures that human engineers had seeded throughout the belt weeks earlier. The explosion began as a pinprick of light and expanded into a symphony of destruction. Asteroid after asteroid detonated in precisely timed sequence, each blast channeling debris and energy into the next, creating a cascading wave of annihilation that consumed entire squadrons. The human ship emerged from the chaos unscathed, having threaded a path through destruction it had orchestrated with surgical precision. Behind it, the wreckage of 300 alien vessels tumbled through space like broken toys. The laughter had died completely now, replaced by the sharp intake of breath that came with genuine fear. Across the alien fleet, commanders realized with dawning horror that nothing about this encounter was random. The human vessel hadn't stumbled into their formation. It had lured them into a carefully prepared killing ground. On a dozen bridges, tactical officers stammered reports that made no sense. "Sir, their approach vector was calculated to maximize our exposure to the blast radius. They planned this before we even arrived." This revelation struck at something deeper than military doctrine. It challenged the alien understanding of warfare itself. Humans didn't just fight battles. They weaponized psychology, turning enemy expectations against them. A single ship carried not just weapons and armor, but the accumulated weight of a species' survival instinct, refined through millennia of conflict into something that transcended mere numbers or firepower. Admiral Kekstar's flagship loomed like a metallic moon, its weapons arrays glowing with enough firepower to sterilize countenance. His transmission crackled with barely contained rage. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately, or be reduced to component atoms." The response came back clear and calm, spoken by a voice that carried the quiet authority of someone who had made peace with death. "You're welcome to try." What followed was a deadly dance through 3 dimensions. The massive alien flagship unleashing swarms of autonomous combat drones, while the human vessel wove between them like a fighter half its size. But these weren't random evasions. Each maneuver served a dual purpose. Positioning drone swarms where human-deployed decoy beacons could fool their targeting systems into attacking each other. Soon the space around the flagship was filled with debris from its own weapons. Then the human ship revealed its ultimate secret. Hull panels slid open with mechanical precision, exposing a weapon that made hardened alien warriors gasp in recognition and terror. The prototype singularity cannon was technology forbidden by every galactic treaty, deemed too dangerous for any species to wield safely. Its mere existence was supposed to be theoretical, a line that no civilization would dare cross. The alien fleet's communications exploded with panic. "That's impossible. The gravitational stresses alone should tear their ship apart." But Admiral Kekstar, as science officer, his voice hollow with understanding, reported what their sensors were showing. "Sir, the human vessel's entire superstructure has been reinforced specifically to channel those forces. They built their ship around this weapon." The first firing was like watching a star die in fast foe. The singularity cannon tore open a micro-black hole that immediately began devouring everything. Within its event horizon, space itself seemed to scream, as physics bent beyond normal limits. Entire squadrons of alien vessels simply vanished, not destroyed but erased from existence, as if they had never been. The universe groaned under the strain of forces that shouldn't exist, but the cost was immediately apparent on the human vessel. Hull plates buckled and cracked under gravitational stresses that would have crushed lesser ships instantly. In the engine compartment, technicians screamed as coolant systems failed and control panels exploded in showers of sparks. Yet they remained at their posts, manually rerouting power and cooling systems, while the deck plates beneath their feet warped like soft metal. This was humanity in its purest form, paying any price for victory. For the first time in the battle, the massive alien armada hesitated. On command bridges across the fleet, officers who had witnessed the destruction of entire star systems found themselves genuinely afraid. A hegemony captain whispered into his communications array, "How is this possible? One ship should not be able to terrorize an entire battle group." Yet the fear was real and spreading like a virus. Through their formations, the human strategy became clear in that moment of alien uncertainty. Commander Rodriguez had studied the psychological profiles of every species in the attacking fleet, understanding that their greatest strength, numerical superiority, was also their greatest weakness. Alone, each alien warrior was formidable. Together, they began to doubt, to second-guess, to fear what a single human vessel might accomplish if it was willing to sacrifice everything. With desperate fury, the human craft plunged into the very heart of the alien formation, where the density of enemy ships was greatest. To every observer, it appeared suicidal. No vessel could survive the concentrated firepower of hundreds of ships firing at point-blank range. But humanity had learned long ago that sometimes the most dangerous place was also the safest, because enemies hesitated to fire when they might hit their own forces. The final gamble came as human AI systems seeded through captured communication frequencies during the initial exchange, suddenly activated within alien computer networks. Targeting systems went haywire, friend or foe identifiers scrambled, and ships began firing on their own allies, as human-designed chaos viruses spread through their fleets like wildfire. In minutes, the organized armada became a confused mob, ships desperately trying to avoid their own crossfire, as the alien flagship charged its planet-killer weapon in desperate retaliation. Commander Rodriguez made the decision that would echo through galactic history. Her ship, engines screaming at maximum thrust, deliberately collided with a support cruiser, riding the explosion like a cosmic surfboard toward the massive enemy vessel. At point-blank range, every human weapon fired simultaneously, railgun slugs punching through armor that had never been breached, while the Singularity cannon prepared for one final discharge. The last words broadcast from the human vessel were calm and professional. All stations, brace for Singularity discharge. It's been an honor serving with you. The resulting explosion created a brief new star as the flagship imploded into nothingness, taking with it any hope the aliens had of easy victory. The human ship was hurled clear by gravitational shockwaves, its hull cracked and atmosphere bleeding into space, but somehow still intact. In the aftermath, as emergency lights flickered through smoke-filled corridors and the few surviving crew members tended to their wounded, Commander Rodriguez managed one final transmission to Earth. Mission accomplished. Let the record show that when they sent 1,000 ships against us, we sent them running with one. The alien armada scattered like startled birds, their commanders arguing over whether to retreat or regroup. But the damage was done, not just to their ships, but to their confidence. Across the galaxy, the story spread faster than hyperspace communications could carry it. In alien academies, a new rule was quietly added to tactical doctrine. Never underestimate a single human vessel, because it carries the hopes and fury of an entire species that refuses to yield. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel and support us so we can post new videos every day. Your support means the world.